Hare Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhare Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachare Yamuna Tira Vanachare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Tanya Nitya Shri Advaita Shivasari Gaura Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pariyacharya Satsara Satsara Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pariyacharya Satsara Satsara Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinde ki Jai Ramacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki Jai Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, Sri Guru Gauranga Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 14, entitled King Purava Enchanted by Urvasi. Text 24. Taya sa purusha sresto Ramayantya yatar hata Reme shura virareshu Kamam chaitra rata dishu Tayasa purusha shrestha Ramayantya yatar hata Reme shura virareshu Kamam chaitra rata dishu Tayasa purusha sresto Ramayantya rata Rame shura virareshu Kamam chaitra rata dishu Yantya rata Rame shura virareshu Kamam chaitra rata dishu Dayasa purusha sresto Yamayantya rata rataha Reme sura virareshu Kamam chaitra rata dishu. Okay, word to word meaning Taya, with her, Saha, he. Purusha Shrestha, the best of human beings. Pururava, Ramayantya, enjoying. Yata arhata, as far as possible. Reme, enjoyed. Sura vihareshu, in places resembling the heavenly parks. Kamam, according to his desire. Chaitra rata adishu, in the best gardens. Like Chaitra rata. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sukdev Goswami continued, the best of human beings, Pururava, began freely enjoying the company of Urvasi, who engaged in sexual activities with him in many celestial places, such as Saitrata and Nandana Kanana, where the demigods enjoy. There's no purport. We'll continue reading till text 36, I guess. Yeah. 25. Urvasi's body was as fragrant as the saffron of a lotus. Being enlivened by the fragrance of her face and body, Purava enjoyed her company for many days with great jubilation. Not seeing Urvasi in his assembly, the king of heaven, Lord Indra, said, "Without Urvasi, my assembly is no longer beautiful." Considering this, he requested the Gandharvas to bring her back to his heavenly planets. Thus the Gandharva came to earth, and at midnight, when everything was dark, they appeared in the house of Purava and stole the 2 lamps entrusted to the king by his wife Urvasi. Purport. The dead of night refers to midnight. The Mahanisha is described in this Smriti mantra. Mahanisha dve katike ratrer madhyama yamayo. 12 o'clock midnight is called dead of night. 28. Urvasi treated the 2 lamps like her own sons. Therefore, when they were being taken by the Gandharvas and began crying, Urvasi heard them and rebuked her husband. "Now I am being killed," she said, "under the protection of an unworthy husband who is a coward and a eunuch, although he thinks himself a great hero." 29. Because I depended on him, the plunderers have deprived me of my 2 sons, the lamps, and therefore I am now lost. And my husband lies down at night in fear, exactly like a woman, although he appears to be a man during the day. 30. Purava, stricken by the sharp words of Urvasi like an elephant struck by his driver-pointed rod, became very angry. Not even dressing himself properly, he took a sword in hand and went out naked into the night to follow the Gandharvas who had stolen the lamps. Text 31. After giving up the 2 lamps, the Gandharvas shone brightly like lightning, thus illuminating the house of Purava. Urvasi then saw her husband returning with the lamps in hand, but he was naked, therefore she left. Text 32. No longer seeing Urvasi on his bed, Purava was most aggrieved. Because of his great attraction for her, he was very much disturbed. Thus lamenting, he began traveling about the earth like a madman. Text 33. Once during his travel all over the world, Purava saw Urvasi accompanied by 5 companions on the bank of the Saraswati at Kurukshetra. With jubilation in his face, he then spoke to her in sweet words as follows. 34. O my dear wife, O most cruel one, kindly stay, kindly stay. I know that I have never made you happy until now, but you should not give me up for that reason. This is not proper for you. Even if you have decided to give up my company, let us nonetheless talk for some time. Text 35. O goddess, now that you have refused me, my beautiful body will fall down here, and because it is unsuitable for your pleasure, it will be eaten by foxes and vultures. Text 36. Urvasi said, My dear king, you are a man, a hero. Don't be impatient and give up your life. Be sober and don't allow the senses to overcome you like foxes. Don't let the foxes eat you. In other words, you should not be controlled by your senses. Rather, you should know that the heart of a woman is like that of a fox. There is no use making friendship with women. Purport. Chanakya Pandit has advised Vishwasho naivo kartavyastriyusu rajakuleshu cha Never place your faith in a woman or a politician. Unless elevated to spiritual consciousness, everyone is conditioned and fallen. What to speak of women who are less intelligent than men? Women have been compared to Shudras and Vaishyas, Striyo, Vaishyas, Tata Sudra. On the spiritual platform, however, when one is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness, whether one is a man, woman, Sudra, or whatever, everyone is equal. Otherwise, Urvasi, who was a woman herself and who knew the nature of woman, said that a woman's heart is like of a sly fox. If a man cannot control his senses, he becomes a victim of such sly foxes. But if one can control the senses, there is no chance of being victimized by sly fox-like women. Chanakya Pandit has also advised that if one has a wife like a sly fox, he must immediately give up his life at home and go to the forest. Mata yasya grahe nasti bharya chapriya vadini aranyam tena gantavyam yataranyam tata graham. Chanakya Sloka 57. Krishna conscious grahasthas must be very careful of the sly fox woman. If the wife at home is obedient and follows her husband in Krishna consciousness, the home is welcome. Otherwise, one should give up one's home and go to the forest. Hitvatma patam graham andakupam vanam gato yat dharim ashrate. Bhagavatam 7.5.5. One should go to the forest and take shelter of the lotus feet of Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakya Sakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Haripriya Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamagam vande Shri Gurun dinatarinam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desha Tarine. Hare Krishna. Seeking blessing of assembled Vaishnavas. I'd like to speak from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam for my own purification. There is a very glamorous story of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, but it has a very instructive for everyone. So we see Purava enchanted by the beauty of Urvasi. So in the starting of the 24th verse, we saw they are having good times. Right? So that was very nice. But then Material world is like that. Good time means followed by bad time. So good is, there's nothing good there actually. That's a reality. Whatever good time is very short-lived, and that actually acts as a catalyst for a prolonged bad time. That's a reality. See the condition of Purava here. Even though he went to Nandana, Kanana, Chitraratha, many heavenly places, because he was with Urvasi, so he got access to this beautiful place. But then he became a madman. See? There are one or two verses explaining about how they enjoyed, and there are many verses explaining how he suffered. So that's a nature, because the attachment which we develop so quickly, it is difficult to get detached from that. And material world means prone to separation, right? It's like that in the Bhagavatam it said that two people coming together is like the two straws which are floating in a river, which come together for some time, and eventually they get separated. Are they going to come back again? No. So, the bodily relationship, the so-called family, friends, and family, everything is so temporary. And then even if someone says, I'm having a very good time, so Krishna says, Dukhalayam ashashvatam, it is going to be temporary. Either one of them will leave or both will leave the body. So they had a plot. So Indra wanted Urvasi back in the heavenly planets. So Urvasi already told Purava that I shouldn't be seeing you naked. If I see you, I will leave. So they had a plot that they took the lambs. She considered the lamb to be her own son. So for a motherly feeling, she has more affection towards the sons and the children, right? So she spoke very harsh, and that made him to go out of the house to get the lambs, and then when he came back, and then she saw him naked, and then she left. After, he became so, what is the word? Deprived, right? So he became so depressed in the sense that so close to his heart was taken away. Right? We read the discussion of this is interesting. The emotion of a person who is materially attached and the emotion of a pure devotee who is a Mahabhagavat is the same. Right? One is feeling separation and become a madman because he got separated from his material attachment. And then the Mahabhagavat also feels, he acts like a madman because he got separated from the Supreme Lord. So Then finally he came to Urvasi. He saw Urvasi in Kurukshetra. Urvasi was there. Finally he found Urvasi. And then he went to Urvasi and said, please, I would like to have your company. I would like to at least talk with you. He was begging. He's saying, I'm going to die. In the previous meeting, when Purava met Urvasi and they had some exchanges, Urvasi was very reciprocative, right? But this time she was not. She started preaching. She said, you are a king. See? And why do you have to give up your body? Why do you have to give up your life? And one has to control the senses. So even this purport is little tricky. If someone takes this purport out of the context, it is very politically incorrect. What is the problem? Problem, we have to hate the disease, not the diseased. Is being a woman is a problem? Is being a man is a problem? No. Right? When the senses are not in control, then it's a problem. Right? On a spiritual platform, everyone is equal. So Prabhupada is very clear about that. Material men, material women, there's only two categories of people in this material world, one should understand. What are the two categories of person? One is cheaters, another one is cheated. So, one can be very cunning, very proud, very lusty, very anger, so many qualities which are driven by the modes of material nature. One gets succumbed to the material energy and then easily carried away by the lower desires, and then one get into suffering. So one should be very careful in terms of identifying what is the problem. Don't get angry on the instrument. Don't get angry on the postman because he is delivering bad news. He is doing the job according to one karma, according to one baggage of reaction. One is getting what he meant to get. So similarly here, you can see here, you should not see these verses out of the context. Here Urvasi is giving harsh words and trying to preach to him. We can see similar, like when I was reading this purport, the same happened with Bilvamangal Thakur also. He was so attached to Chintamani, right? He used to go and visit. But one point, Chintamani became his guru. She said, why you are having so much attachment to me? If you can have developed little bit attachment to Krishna, you could have gone, a great elevated. So that actually clicked him. So here, similarly, Urvasi is taking a stand and telling him that why you are not able to control your senses. One has to have control of senses because there are many things in this world very attractive. Right? So attractive, so many things are there. And the highest attraction for a man is woman. That's a creation. That you see, the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. The highest rasa in the spiritual world is Adiras, the attraction of the conjugal love between Radha and Krishna. See? So then that is perverted here. What happened? It comes in the form of a lust between a man and a woman. And that sense gratification is the highest in the forms of attraction between the opposite sex. So one should understand that, that there is no pleasure, so-called pleasure available. So he's saying, why you are succumb to the fox, like, the mind which controls your senses? And why you are trying to make friendship with me? So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita saying, yesterday also we had Gopa Prabhu quoting this verse, 522. Hei sansvarshaja boha dukkha yonaya evate adi antavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. We also have here Rama, pleasure. Rama is, word Rama means pleasure, right? The reservoir of pleasure. An intelligent person does not take part in pleasure which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasure are the source of misery, have a beginning and an end, so the wise man does not delight in them. Okay, so that's a principle where Krishna is saying, why to have sense gratification which leads to misery? What kind of misery? One may say, oh, I had a good time. But the misery, one should understand, we have gross and subtle body. So the subtle body pain is also as good as physical body pain. When someone has heartbreak, when someone is, when loved one is taken, they are in grief. They may not have physical pain, but they're going through mental pain. They're going through some subtle body pain, which is making them suffer internally. So here one may say, every act of sense gratification has an end, but the problem is that subtle body involvement continues and it leads to suffering more and more and more. And it pushes to do it again. It pushes the person to recollect. So it develops it comes back stronger. But here Krishna is saying, intelligent person does not take part. Then because everyone is seeking pleasure. Everyone in this material world seeking pleasure. Anandamayo vyashat. Right? We need pleasure. We need bliss. But where to get that from? So there are two places one get pleasure. One is sensuality, another one is spirituality. if an intelligent person, he replaces the sensuality with spirituality, right? That where he get pleasure, that's called higher taste. So one is a big example of housefly and a bee. Both are sucking. Right? One is trying to get juice out of the garbage, another one is trying to get nectar from the flower. So the intelligent person means he is trying to get pleasure by serving Krishna or by trying to engage the senses in the service of Krishna. One is not intelligent in the material world, what happened? He tried to engage his senses for his own pleasure, that's called sense gratification. The problem with that is, one is it's prone to suffering. Second, he is entangled in this material world, right? And it is never satisfied. So one is intelligent person, one is trying to develop some kind of pleasure, some kind of higher taste. But that's only the certain part, positive to it. So the positive is, okay, one is trying to derive pleasure from Krishna consciousness, right? And the other part, which is intelligence, also is that one should be convinced that there is no happiness in this material world. So there are two approaches. One is, first is, one is trying to get pleasure from Krishna consciousness, and then one is intelligently convinced that there is no pleasure from material sense gratification. So this both has to go hand in hand. At least to a theory, we should understand that, it is not possible to please one in this material world. So by reading the scriptures, by reading the purport, reading Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we get spiritual intelligence. We borrow the intelligence of the great acharyas and the teachers by associating with the book Bhagavat, by associating with the person Bhagavat. We get reminded of how this material body is temporary and the pleasure is also temporary, and how one should able to seek the higher taste. It's very important. So then, this both has to go parallelly. But still, Maya is very powerful. Krishna says, Devi yeshi gunamayi mama maya duratya. See here, Purava, you can see, he had a great union, and then Urvasi left. He became so mad. Again he saw Urvasi, he is looking for Urvasi, and then again he wanted to have company. So, even though he had suffering, but still, when he saw that, so that's nature. When the lust overtakes a person, the first thing the lust does is, in 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, it actually is like a fire which destroys your spiritual knowledge. It covers your knowledge. The lust, what happened? It covers your knowledge that you are not this body, you are a spirit soul. You are only seeking pleasure, you can't have pleasure in this material world. That all this knowledge get covered up by the lust. and then one get forgetful of who he is, and then he identify with the body, and then it get, oh yes, I had a good time, let me enjoy my senses. So that's what that happens. Then forget. So we can see time and again one is reminded. And then so then Krishna says next to us, he says, before text 23, before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material sense and check the force of desire and anger, he is well situated and happy in this world. So Krishna is saying that your disturbance caused by the senses or attraction to the sense objects, it's not going to leave you until you die. Yeah? So till you die, you have to fight against these urges. There is no other way. Krishna says, before giving up this present body, you have to tolerate. You have to overcome these urges. There is no shortcut. Right? So, Maya is going to come. The sense gratification is going to come. So, how do you deal with that? One has to regulate the sense gratification. That is one thing. First of all, one has to give up the sense gratification. If one cannot able to give up the sense gratification, then one has to regulate the sense gratification. So, it's not that one has to completely stop sense gratification. If one can able to do, that's well and good. But if not able to, then one has to regulate. Regulate the sense gratification and very mindful and careful. Maya will attack. So one has to convince oneself that this, like the tossing of the waves, is going to come. If you go to the beach, the wave is not going to stop. The waves are like going to come again and again. Similarly, we get tossed in this material world by the waves of this material energy again and again and again and again. So one has to go deep, and one has to go, learn to stand again and then fight Maya. And then one has to learn. So because first of all, by hearing, one may not learn. One may not understand this. Oh yes, I understood. Sense gratification equals to misery. I will not indulge in sense gratification. If you can able to understand by hearing, it's good. Otherwise, what happened? One has to experience. One has to go through this experience and learn. Then continue. Serve Krishna. Don't give up on developing the higher taste for Krishna. Even though obstacle going to come, and even though so much difficulty going to come, one has to continue invest his time on developing higher taste for Krishna. And then intellectually convinced that there is no sense gratification will not give me happiness. It's very important. Then if we can able to tolerate the material sense and check the force, then Krishna is saying he will be situated very happily in this material world. So Krishna used the analogy before that the living entity is in the city of 9 gates. So he is in the city. So this body is considered like a city with the 9 gates, and one has to stay happy in the city wherever he is living. Not to identify with the city, that's one thing. And one should, how to live happily, one should be detached from the action of this body by developing higher taste. So if a man cannot control his senses, so this is Prabhupada from the purport, he became a victim of such sly foxes. But if one can control the senses, there is no chance of being victimized by sly fox-like woman. So here we can see, that in material world, everyone is very much focused on what they want to get out of anything. Either it can be relationship, or it can be object, or it can be anything. They are only focused about their own happiness of sense gratification. So, that's a materialistic. But here, when one should understand that in Krishna consciousness is different. In Krishna consciousness, this does not apply. If a wife at home is obedient, follows her husband, in Krishna consciousness, the home is welcome. Otherwise, one should give up one's home and go to forest. That is Vanam, that is Vrindavan. So if Krishna consciousness is there, then the home is like Vrindavan. Vrindavan means what? Where there is Krishna, where there are devotees who are serving Krishna. That is Vrindavan. So if a Krishna conscious home means, then Krishna is in the centrum. So that is the ashram, Grahastha ashram, where Krishna is there in the center of the house and the whole family is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then one don't have to give up the home. Right? One don't have to give up the home, or one don't have to artificially renounce, detach. One can happily serve. Happiness of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead is basically make us eligible on the transcendental platform. So the servant who is serving the master get to experience or have enjoy the comforts of the master as well. If a king is in the palace, right, a servant is serving, then the servant is also living in the palace. He is also enjoying the comfort of the palace. But as long as he is acting in the servant capacity. But the moment he is not acting in the servant capacity, then he is in the street. Right? He become homeless. So that's the same thing, when we are serving Krishna, then we could able to have that bliss. Apart in conjunction with the whole mission, then it has a value. When the part is not working in conjunction with the whole mission, then the part become useless scrap. So same, the limbs of the arm working in conjunction with the body, it gets the nourishment. But when the limb is cut off from the body, it is dead. It is no use. So this purport we have to be very careful in terms of what we are able to get the message. So don't have very stereotypic understanding of who is wrong. Usually we get into this blame game of who is problem. The problem is our desire. That is the problem. The problem is one who desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. One want to lord over the material nature. That is the problem. And the material energy is just facilitating. It's bringing the bodies together by the sanction of the Paramatma. Right? So that's where the problem is. So when we able to control our material desire, when the desire becomes so strong, it becomes an urge. Right? So when we can able to control our material desire, control our senses, then we become Goswami. We become Goswami, not Godas. So one should go to the forest and take shelter of the lotus feet of Hare, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's a goal. That is you see, whatever we are trying here is to able to take shelter of Krishna and surrender to Krishna. Every one of us have to come to that conclusion. Right? Maybe in a different position of our journey, But our conclusion and goal is what? To get Sarvadharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja, that we surrender to Krishna. Some or other we can able to remember Krishna and we can able to fix our mind on Krishna and surrender to Krishna. So that's our goal. The goal is not to make ourselves comfortable in this material world. Goal is not to make ourselves, happy. The goal is that everyone has to surrender to Krishna. The whole purpose of Varnashram system is that one get elevated in Krishna consciousness. Right? Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanapras, Sannyas. Right? What is the goal? It's not that, one has to stuck in this material world. Well, the goal is ourselves able to surrender to Krishna. So that is the main point. So that's what we see from this. We'll continue to see how Purava get more instruction from Urvasi. Maybe I'll stop here. It's 8:30. Thank you everyone for patiently listening to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Gantaraj Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol.